Mr. Mayor,
What's up?
how you doing?
Doing good.
Man, I appreciate you coming down. I know it was a long drive. I know it was
all 3 blocks.
That's right.
We only have 7 blocks in town. It wasn't that far.
There's no lights. That's for damn sure. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good.
You getting set up for the summer festivities?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You're a busy man.
Oh, sometimes.
No, you're always busy. I mean, especially in the summer, but you do not let the grass grow underneath your feet. You're always doing something.
I'm on the move.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It keeps you young, right?
That's it.
So, I just wanted to have a conversation. Obviously, I don't know anything about, not anything, but not as much as you do about the town. And I've obviously fallen in love with Milford and a lot of the people here. And so I wanted to bring you in and just kind of get some context on the history, because it's got a real rich history. I don't think a lot of people even know that.
Some do. I mean, locally wise, and all because of Brinkley. I'm assuming that's what you're getting to.
Are you afraid that it's going to blow up and get busy someday? Like, how do you gauge how you want the town to be? Like, because you don't want it to be on the map where everyone knows about this hidden secret and then they all come, but at the same time, you don't want it to be desolate. So how do you feel about that?
Well, when you live on the largest lake in Kansas, and it is the best lake in Kansas, it's kind of hard not to let everybody know
right
what it's all about. But Milford's unique in a way. We got Fort Riley right to the east of us. We got it to the north of us. We got the lake to the south and the lake to the west. Milford can only grow so big. So
right.
We get to kind of choose and pick what we want.
But it's not known by a lot of the locals, though. Like people will ask me where I live in Kansas, and I'm like, Milford. And they're like, where's that? What is that?
If you throw Fort Riley in there, a lot of people can figure out where you're at.
Okay.
But if you're outdoorsy, this place is paradise.
It's beautiful. The sign says City of Sunsets, and I guess to some they would think that's tongue in cheek, but when you get to spend some time here, it's legitimate. The sunsets here are absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. From fishing to the wildlife, hey, we got 32,000 acres to hunt right around the lake, another 63,000 acres to hunt at Fort Riley. It's perfect. Yeah, and you get all 4 seasons here. I don't know if you're quite used to that yet here.
In some ways it's more mild than from what I'm used to, and in other ways, when it gets cold, it gets cold.
Yeah, like 11 degrees here a few days ago, it was 80
now it's
some. 82 degrees today.
So bipolar.
Yeah.
But that's some of the joy of living here, though, too. It doesn't give you too much of one thing.
Oh, that's correct.
It seems like, back in Utah where I'm from, it was snowing well long before it started getting really cold here. And I've enjoyed that. It's kind of a longer summer here for me.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Sometimes our springs fall right into summer. We don't get too much of a spring, but that's Kansas. Everybody's kind of used to it.
Did it used to snow here a ton?
I can remember growing up, we had a lot of snow, but it just doesn't seem like we get snow anymore.
That is crazy. Utah was like that for a long time too. It would just pound snow, and then for a while there, it didn't seem like it snowed at all. I think they got hit pretty hard this year, but we only got a couple light dustings here.
That's all we've had for the whole year.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Don't buy a snowblower if you're in Milford.
Or a snowmobile. I got one of them.
We'll find a way to use that eventually, Brad. So tell me, give me a little history. Your family has a rich history here. The ballpark was named after your father, right?
Grandpa. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So explain to me how the Roethers came to.
Well, actually, they settled here in 1863. So we've been here quite a long time.
And the town was founded in
About that time.
About that time, yeah. So,
and actually, the people that founded the town, believe it or not, you probably might not even know this, but they plotted it out, and they actually called the town Bachelor.
Bachelor town.
Bachelor. And it went 2 years. The only way you could buy property in the new town was if you were a bachelor or a widow.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's how they really started the town. The post office, after a couple of years, the post office person said, "Hey man, no one can spell bachelor right." So this is a true story. I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but they had put a mill in Madison Creek, and it was called the Streeters Mill. I can remember that this is a long time ago, but that's how the new town got named Milford, because of the mill and the Ford they put there, and that's how it became Milford then after a couple of years of being Bachelor.
See, and I thought that there was just a lot of MILF, and then people drove Fords. No?
I imagine
wrong.
that was horse and buggy back then.
And at that time, the lake didn't exist.
No. The lake didn't come in until 1965. I can actually remember fishing with my grandma on that actual mill. It had the big the wood thing that spun around off the creek and a little waterfall. But she'd take me there catfishing, bullhead fishing before the lake was even here.
Man, that is just, see, and I can't, it's hard to envision that, obviously.
Well, I wish I'd have been a little older and seen some of the places there, where it register in your mind to go fishing at now. But
what was the original town like?
Actually, as a little kid, where the boat dock is right now, I was fortunate enough to have both grandparents live, both sides of my family grew up here. So I remember the church, believe it or not, sitting there looking at the wasp and everything. I think I spent more time looking at wasps up in the air than I did, listening to anything at a young age. But no, I remember the downtown, a few houses. I was young, 8 years old probably when that all changed about.
Man, alive. And when did they decide how did that all come to fruition to flood the town and then move the other portion of it to the higher ground?
Well, what happened was in the 50s, Kansas went through a bunch of floods. So the 51 flood, I think, is when the Corps of Engineers and the state decided they needed to do something to keep all the big cities from getting flooded. So Tuttle Creek was put in, Milford was put in, Perry Lake, all of our big lakes were put in that same time frame in the 60s.
Did the townspeople were they for that, or was that a source of contention?
I can remember being little and hearing the talk, but both my sets of grandparents, they were excited to have a lake,
Yeah.
So, and actually some of the ground, well, probably where we're sitting at right now, it belonged to my grandpa. So some of the new town was actually my grandpa's ground.
Man, that is so cool.
Yeah, it is kind of neat.
That is so cool. And it explains why you have such a dedication to it. Like, when did you decide you wanted to get involved politically and run for mayor?
Well, I was on city council probably for, 15, 20 years before I decided then to go ahead and run for mayor. So I think I've been the mayor for at least 14 years.
How has that experience been?
In a small town, if people know a small town, your butt cheeks get bit pretty hard from the dog's bark and maybe too late at night, a trash can being out. But really, honestly, we got great people in Milford. We really have a bunch of nice people.
But you seem to deal with the adversity pretty well too, because obviously you're not going to be liked by everybody.
True.
So you seem to handle you and the first lady seem to handle that adversity pretty well. You guys have a thick skin, but at the same time are very kind and generous, from what I've been able to ascertain.
Nah, you have to. You got to look at all sides.
How long are you going to keep doing it?
She thinks I ought to maybe get out of that here pretty soon. So
really,
yeah. I don't know if this might be my last term. There's just a couple things that need to get done, and I'd like to see them through.
Can you talk about those things?
Well, a Dollar General, we had it. I was getting ready to go to a city council meeting and announce it, and it fell through that same day. So, man, a Dollar General or some kind of service station, something in this town would just absolutely kind of anchor the school, anchor our post office, things like that. When they go, it makes a little town kind of fall apart.
I'll tell you, and maybe you've heard this a million times by others, but you sure have developed a pretty special thing in the tropics.
Oh yeah.
That is a special unique place.
Who could imagine walking in there and thinking you're in Cancun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but like all of the people that I've gotten to know and love so much in this town have derived from that bar.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like it is the hub and the glue, and it's special to so many people.
Well, there for a while, it's the only place you can come eat. We got to have something. And we stay open 7 days a week, even though there's days that you wonder why you even keep it open. But that's just something me and the wife wanted to do, and we'll see that through.
That's awesome, though. Like you both really have done so much for the community, and this is coming from someone that's only been here for like 2 years now. But I just want you to know, from my standpoint, how appreciative I am, because it really. It's nice to be part. It sucks you in. I want to be part of the community. I want to do things to help this community grow, even though I didn't grow up here, because now it's become a part of me, and I want to preserve that as much as I can.
Well, it's a great place to raise your kids. It's not. Where else can you go? They can walk the streets, and you're pretty safe here in Milford.
Well, and to be so close to the lake. And you also, amongst the many hats that you wear, also do fishing tours.
Yep.
Right?
Fishing and hunting.
Dude, how in the hell is it that I watch the frustration of the fishermen get on that lake and come out empty-handed, and consistently you go out there and you just bring mounds of these fish home. Well, what's the secret, Brad? What are you hiding?
Well, there's nothing to hide. You just got to know where to go, And honestly, now fishing is getting to be, everybody has the electronics. When we started fishing, you were looking at landmarks, but now you pretty much got a TV on your boat, You still got to make them bite, and you still got to put the right thing in front of them. But fishing's, it's pretty easy. It really is.
And you seem to enjoy it.
Oh, I love it. I love teaching.
You're out there in the summertime almost every single day.
I usually get 3 days off a month. Other than that, I'm on the lake, which I love. It's fun showing people how to fish, different methods of fishing. So I get a big enjoyment out of that.
And then can we plug that? If people listening to the podcast want to eventually solicit your services and come and get that guided tour and go fishing, how do they go about doing that?
We're on Facebook. We're online. It's Grandpa Boone's Cabin and Outfitters is who we are. We have the largest guide business on the lake. We got 5 guides. We all run Tri-Tunes, so we've been at it a long time.
And you don't ever get sick of being out there?
No, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. And you've got the cabins as well. Where does Boone's Cabin come from? Where does the name come from on that?
That is my grandpa's nickname was Boone. Daniel, believe it or not. So that
Daniel Boone.
Daniel. So that's where he got the nickname. So and it was his place. From the old town, he moved that up there. It was the old community center in the old town, but he moved it up here and put a bar in it. And then my dad put the bait shop on the south end of it. And then we just went in, me and my brother restored it. And that's what Grandpa Boone's Cabin is now.
That is so cool. And that's what I'm talking about. Just that whole history is so awesome to put all of that together and see where all of that came from, because that is a special situation. You just don't get, especially nowadays, you just don't get stories like that anymore.
No. Well, we're lifers here. We'll make one more move. I'm sure me and my brother and some of my family, and that'll be out on the hill. They're north of town in that cemetery where everybody else is buried.
Other than that, you're never going anywhere.
Nah, no.
Just falling in love with it. Now, someone wanted me to ask you about goats.
goats.
Yeah, there's some story about goats.
That would be Brinkley.
Okay.
That was a doctor that, some people might have called him a quack. Others just said he was just a genius. But he come through Milford in the 30s, and he's Model T, and I think it broke down, the story goes, and become the town doctor, which then turned into a multi-million-dollar man. He actually put goat glands in men to make them fertile. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Did it work?
Well, I don't know if the guy's name's Stitworth or Schweitzer or somebody, but there's a hometown boy that they always said was one of the goat babies. Yeah. Now I'm talking back in them days. I mean, I'm sure that guy's long gone by now, but no, he built, marble. It was just the pictures of that place down there, just unbelievable. Now, he got in a little bit of trouble. He built a radio station, which you're into radio, but it was Kansas first, Kansas best. Largest radio station in North America, come right out of this little town.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And what happened with that?
Well, you could call from Oregon, and he'd sell you a drug over the radio to fix your cold or whatever. So I'm sure that's where the FDA come in effect, the FCC come in effect. And
so tell me if this is true. I heard that the FCC basically was originated because of this individual.
That's what I've seen or I've heard as far as in the books, because this radio station, I don't know what the wattage was, but it was unbelievable. And he talked from Canada to clear into Mexico, right here from the little old town of Milford.
Man,
unbelievable.
Alive. That is unbelievable.
Yeah. But they had a traveling baseball team, which they won the Nationals. I believe that game was, the pictures show them getting on the train here at Milford and going to Denver. They'd play in Denver. They'd play in Chicago, St. Louis. And the Ball Diamonds named after my grandpa, which he was the catcher of that team, of the Brinkley Goats. It was the name of the ball team. But that was a minor league, semi-pro team that come out of Milford.
And then you
yeah, wild dude, man. You can get in arguments with everybody that might think he was a quack, but I don't know. Unfortunately, my grandpa was a nurse for him. My grandma was a nurse. Half my relation worked for Brinkley because hell, he was the.
But he's kind of the dude that kicked off everything here, though, right?
Yeah.
'Cause he ended up bringing a lot of money into town.
Oh, and this dude ran for governor, and he actually won. But people would put Doc Brinkley down and didn't spell his name quite right, so they threw him out. But this dude, you can say what you want, but he actually in the 30s wanted to build lakes like they did in the 60s, because he thought this place was just beautiful coming through the Flint Hills. We should put lakes in here to where people can come, tourism. So, yeah, he did put goat glands in people, but it's honestly, he was ahead of the game 30 years on putting lakes in,
So was he an actual doctor?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he had the schooling and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Holy cow.
I don't know what other surgeries he did, but people flew from all over the world to come here to try this goat gland in you. So, hey, man, there's pictures I'll have to show you, but there's pictures of goats. 30, 40 goats behind the hospital. So, can you imagine that?
You go out and pick your goat.
Yeah. That one there. I think I want that one on me.
I think he's gonna be good. No, but that is just, you're right. If you didn't do the research and actually see it for yourself, you think it was bullshit.
Yeah, I've had people. Our little museum has some of that stuff in it here in town. We're trying to get everything up at the city building to where everybody can look at it. But we've had people do movies on him. Believe it or not, there's been movies on him. There's a guy from Great Britain that called and got all the information, doing a big old article on him. I mean, still today, they're still talking about him in his goat glands.
That is unbelievable. And you ended up, you've got a little farm, don't you?
No, I don't.
You didn't have any animals going on over there?
Yeah, we had some goats over there, but they turned into hamburgers.
Yeah, I bet they did. And then on top of the fishing and everything else, you also do guided tours for deer.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. And you're sitting here where we're at. I mean, these 4 counties around us is probably the best counties in the state of Kansas there again for whitetails.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, we live in a great place. We really do.
And look, obviously in the 2 years I've been here, it's impossible to get to know everything, but that's exactly why I love talking to people and kicking over rocks, is because you do find out interesting stuff like that and realize more and more just what a unique and special place it is. Because when I originally first heard I was coming out here, I was not looking forward to it. Because really, from a boy in Utah, city boy, Kansas has that, flat, desolate, tornadoes all over the place. And that's the persona that I had. And so I'm like, oh my hell, I have to go work out in Kansas. This is going to be terrible. And I pull into Flagstop. That was the first place I lived, and immediately was taken back by the beauty and the serenity and the stars. You don't get to see the sky like you do here.
That there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, my hunters that come from the East Coast didn't know there was that many stars up there.
Right.
I mean, you really get to see a lot of stars.
They're especially on the nights the moon's not out.
Yeah.
It is just absolutely breathtaking. One of my favorite things to do is to take the boat out at like 9:00 at night. Everyone's usually starting to get off the lake, and I like to go out into the middle of the lake and just shut the motor off, and it is so gorgeous.
Yeah, you see a lot of falling stars.
Kind of gives you a second to pull yourself back down and to kind of smell the roses a little bit. I feel like in today's society, we're all so busy and running around, and Milford for me has been kind of like a slow down rip in the space-time continuum where things can kind of just chill a little bit.
Well, there's no high rises around here, that's for sure.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
But what you don't have in that mountainous terrain, it makes up for with its rolling hills and just the thunderstorms here. From my perspective, are gorgeous. Yeah. Like you don't get, like in Utah, we just don't see stuff like that, and you can see the lightning roll for miles and miles, and the fireflies, and just all the different things that this brings, and it's not all. It's not all great. It's not a place that I like to drive a motorcycle.
No,
there's rather be a skunk or a turtle or a possum
or a deer.
Deer.
Yeah.
I mean,
elk, even elk. You got to remember we got elk out here too.
Where are the elk?
They're from where we're sitting. There's some that are within 3 miles of us.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you ever do elk hunting?
Oh yeah.
Elk meat's my favorite. I'm not a big deer. I feel like deer's always a little too gamey.
No, I'd have to agree with you.
For me,
you can't beat and the whole thing here is these are Kansas elk, man. They're corn fed. They're not eating bark up in the mountains like what you're used to.
Right?
Yeah, these are good beef fed rascals.
What's your secret for fish fry?
2 ways.
Okay.
Honestly, we cook a lot of fish for clients and that. Andy's fish seasoning out of Orstland's, usually that's where we find it. But Andy's Red, you can't go wrong with that sauce. Then the other would be just grilling. My wife, she likes zucchini squash, so we'll put zucchini squash, maybe some jalapenos, mushrooms, onions, a little stick of butter, aluminum foil. 30 minutes on the grill, and man, you're eating.
There's really no comparison to fish right off the lake, and then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, you're eating it.
Oh
like,
yeah,
the freshness.
maybe
of that
not
is-
even a couple hours. Man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but you're like I said, your generosity when you've had extra stuff, you'll bring that over to the tropics and let everyone eat that. And I was able to partake in that, and man, that is delicious.
And that was probably that was fried fish.
Man, that was so good.
Yeah.
That was so good. And what are the predominant species of fish to be found out here?
Well, Milford used to be known for its walleye, or we're down on population on walleye, but we still have walleyes. The hybrid, which we call here in Kansas a wiper, it's probably the most sought after fish. It pound for pound, it fights harder than any fish we have in Kansas. Our lake's very well known for its smallmouth. Our lake record's right close to 7 pounds, which that'll hold up anywhere in the United States. That's a big
fish.
smallie. We got largemouth, crappie. We have a great population of crappie. Blues. Our lake's now starting to get known for its big blues. So white bass, we got just about everything in that lake.
And you do things to help out the habitat as well, right?
Yep. Yep.
Tell me how that works, because I remember hearing through the grapevine that someone was like, "Oh, Brad's gonna take that and he'll go put that in the lake and use that." How does that work?
Well, I grew up and that's what my dad did.
Okay,
So that's kind of just when the lake come in. Well, I wondered sometimes because he owned a bait shop, he wanted as much brush out there as he could so he could sell some jigs, So who knows? It might have been his strategy, but our lake, that people don't realize is in the 60s, they come in, they clear cut everything. So there was no trees standing in the water. All we had was foundations and stumps. So by putting that habitat in the lake, that gives them little fish somewhere to go to spawn on in that. So over the years, we worked with the Corps. Man, I can remember one year we had over 20-some thousand pounds of tank track that we put in the lake that we weighted everything down with. We have done almost everything, from hedge to tires to you name it. But in the last probably 15 years, we've put plastic, our little plastic, which we're getting ready to pour here in the next week or two. So we'll have a bunch more of them. But no, we work with the fish biologist and the Corps. We get the permission through them, and we randomly go into coves and load it up. The more you put in, the better chance we're going to have little fish make it. So that's we're not going in and putting a little piece here so we can go catch it. We're dumping 20 of them in one area. So it just, it's better for the fish. They got a place to hide.
Has the Corps been good to work with?
Our Corps is just, I hear so many stories of lakes that, they don't get along. Our Corps office is just super.
Well, because they don't look at it as a recreational lake, right?
But it's not. It's a flood lake. Yeah. That's where a lot of people don't understand the elevation of this lake. Why don't we have houses on it, and this and that? No, it's a flood lake because of the 50s, like I said. But they work very hard to keep, like the duck hunters, to keep that water level up for them. They don't like to dump. Fisheries biologist doesn't like us dumping water on a walleye spawn. They really work with everybody on the lake. They do an absolute perfect job.
Well, and in just the time that I've been here, the difference that they're making, companies have come in and they're starting to revamp the marinas, and the campgrounds are starting to get redone and everything like that. And it really is unique. It's cool to be able to jump on a boat and go to another place and get off and go eat some lunch and then get back on the boat, and take off. It's just...
See, was you here when we had our last little flood?
I was.
Okay, so you see how high that got?
Yeah.
And that stayed up for 8 months, that high.
Crazy.
So now we have all these dead trees around the lake. So there's all the marinas, all the parks, they're cleaning up. It looks nice. We need to probably burn a little bit around the lake, but it's just so dry right now. I don't think anybody wants to burn.
Yeah. So, and explain that. That was because that's been a new experience for me as well. Is I come out of my house and it looks like the whole damn eastern part of the state's on fire. I'm like, oh my God, we're getting bombed. What is all of these fires that they're doing?
That's Fort Riley.
Okay.
They control burn.
Okay.
12 months out of the year. I mean,
and what does that do?
well, there's a lot of things they do out there. They're trying to get rid of a Lespedeza grass, and they burn it off. But they're clear.
Lespedeza?
Yeah, Lespedeza.
Lespedeza.
Yeah, that's a grass. It's
Is it like a weed?
well, it's a grass, but it's they don't want it. It spreads to it's a notches or whatever the heck.
Yeah, where it gets crazy. Okay.
Yeah, but they burn a lot because you got all these military guys out there. You get that grass up high, and they're all out there one night, and you know how the wind can blow here. We had 90-mile-an-hour winds. Can you imagine a fire out there and having all them military guys out there and that equipment? So they burn that fort.
Keep it down.
It's safety reasons is a lot of it.
Well, and I guess from now that you explain it that way, it's a lot easier to do that than go and mow it, because that would take forever, right? To cut all of that down.
Yeah.
So fire's the best way to manage that. But I mean, when the wind changes, like last night, man, it was like the whole town was filled with smoke.
Here we have 70-some degrees. Open up all the windows for the zeros last week. Open up all the windows, and we had a meeting in town. Come home, and the whole house is smoke. You couldn't see 3 blocks last night.
No, it was like if you took pictures, it would look like a fog.
But that's where that come from. Fort Riley doing their control burns.
Cool. And it's something they do yearly?
Yes, there isn't a month goes by. I mean, if there's snow on the ground, they're still trying to burn some of that out there. It's just that's their procedure.
Another thing that took some getting used to are the bombs going off.
Yeah, I was going to ask you when you said thunderstorms, how many people that come here that we have customers stay at the lake, they're thinking, wow, thunderstorms coming. No, that's Fort Riley.
Them blowing shit up.
them boys are practicing. We can't. Hey, I love it. You get used to it, though.
No, you really do. I remember when we first moved here, they blow they test the tornado
every
Monday.
Yeah.
And that was a little nerve-wracking for the kids in the beginning. And it's like, no, that's how they make sure that stuff keeps working.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what gun they have out there, but it makes the 5, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you're thinking somebody's at your front door. I've had people say, I don't know what these kids do in town, but they're going around knocking on people's door and running because you come up and get out there. Well, that's that gun they got out at Fort Riley, and it definitely sounds like a knock on your door.
Dude, try living in a fifth wheel. The whole damn thing shakes. I remember when I started working out here, and that's when they were doing. I guess everything goes in cycles, and at the end of a training of a regiment, they save all of that stuff for the last, because I've noticed it hasn't been as bad as it was before graduation, right?
A lot of these guys might be gone. They might be in Poland right now.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, with the whole Ukraine bull shit.
Well, I don't know if any of our boys are over there for that, but I mean, that last deployment, they were in Poland, they were in Germany, so.
What happened? What's the story? I know this doesn't have very much to do with Milford a little bit, but tell me what happened with Big Red 1 and how that affected Junction, because Junction was doing really well, and then which president sent Big Red 1 to Germany, and it kind of left the town kind of desolate out there.
Yeah, I would have to say back in the Clinton days,
okay,
they were actually looking to make Fort Riley one of the bases that they were going to close. They were in
gosh.
Yeah. Man, they would devastate Junction. I mean, probably Junction more than anything.
That's the lifeblood of that town.
But you got to
right?
stop and think. There's 20,000 people a day, civilians, go to work on Fort Riley. That is the biggest employer in the state of Kansas.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
No,
that's a staggering number.
Mm-hmm. But not just from Junction City. I mean, Clay Center to the north of us, Wadefield, Leonardville, Riley, Abilene, all these little towns, almost, I mean, that's Milford, a lot of people go to Fort Riley to work.
Do all you mayors communicate?
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
You guys talk? And
yeah. The little towns, all the little town guys stay together, and the big town guys, I don't know what they do. They don't want to talk to the little town guys.
Look, and I'm not trying to stir the shit, but it does. I have gotten the inclination, the feeling that there is a little bit of tension between Milford and Junction City.
Nah.
No,
Nah. We're better than that. You know what I mean? We're better than that.
I mean, I just know recently I participated in the fundraiser for the Sundown.
Oh, Sundown Salute?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you're talking that, yeah, there's Sundown Salute. This is their 50th year. And they had, I don't know, they probably were in Junction. They used to be at the lake, but probably for the last 15, 18 years, they've had it at Junction. For the 50th, they were going to move it back out for 1 year. And there was some feelings got hurt in Junction. They didn't think they should do that. So they formed a new deal. And, man, I heard last night that the Junction City commissioners gave them $50,000. So
wow,
hats off to them. That's perfect. They'll have their thing.
But that doesn't bother you at all?
Oh, it's
I mean, didn't it originate here though?
Not in the town of Milford, but on Milford Lake. Yes, okay. It did. Yeah, but I think this is a different. It's going to be a complete clientele difference than what's at Junction. This is going to be more of a country stampede type atmosphere, you know.
Look, I have family that are familiar with the area. My dad was here with me for the longest time before he went back to Salt Lake. I've tried to explain this, and I don't know all of the ins and outs, but can you just elaborate a little bit on what the significance of this is and why it's so big and what they're bringing in? Because I've heard it sounds like it's going to be huge.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's today our VIP tickets went on sale today. So,
what do the VIP tickets get you?
I could probably tell you that.
All right.
Yeah, it gets you a seat right in front.
Okay.
In that section, it gets you 20 beverage tickets.
Okay.
And it gets you 5 meals.
Wow.
For the 5-day event. So, but we're only going to sell 250 of them. They went on sale today. So, I mean, our headliners are Ricochet. I think Ricochet is here on I think on a Thursday we have all the hair bands for that night. Friday night we'll have Ricochet as the main one with some other country bands. And then we go back to rock on Saturday, and I don't have that in front of me, but I can't remember what they said.
But Rio's coming in, though.
Then we have Diamond Rio's going to be the big act.
Going to be there.
Sunday night, and then for the 4th, we're having Foghat. So got a little bit of mixed stuff.
And how involved was your role in having that come here?
You know, honestly, they come to me. I didn't go to them because of the situation they had in Junction, and they wanted to bring it back out the lake, and they just approached me, and I said, "Man, we do it. I mean, we can showcase our town because I'm proud of our town. You know, I think we got a great little town. You know, only got 500 people in town. You know, we could have 15,000 people down there in the Ball Diamond. You know, but I don't know. It'll be pretty neat. It'll be fun. Maybe we'll learn from this too, and maybe we'll have a big music fest every year at Milford Lake like they did at Tuttle Creek.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you think this will transition into something that we start bringing back annually?
It'll be open to see what they want to do and see how, you know, this will be the first year up here doing it to where I don't know if they're going to be going back to Junction. You know, who knows? I'm not a part of that organization, but we're just willing out everything for them, and we're happy that they're coming here.
No, it seems like it's going to be just a real fun, outstanding. I mean, I'm excited about it. Of course, I thought that the way that you guys celebrate the 4th here already was amazing. Yeah. Like this lake, like you get out on the lake, it's just a constant 5-hour fireworks show nonstop.
No, that is the busiest. The 4th is the busiest holiday, the busiest traffic on the lake, and now we're throwing this in on that. It is actually going to be a lot of people. A lot of people.
The Midwest is a lot more conservative than I mean. Look, I come from Utah. It's a very I think it's still conservative
Mitt Romney
yeah,
is
yeah,
conservative. Come on now, come on.
Well, Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
not talk about him. Come on.
You brought it up.
I'm not a Mitt Romney fan. I think Mitt Romney's a douche. But one of the gravitational pulls of coming here was, it seems like in these little towns you get back to your roots. It's more about, like, for instance, in a larger metropolitan city, I don't think people care about each other that much anymore. And here, every single person that I've met, including yourself, would give you the shirt off their back. I mean, I remember when we were here, we weren't planning on being here that long when we initially came over. We were just supposed to be doing some general construction, and that ended up snowballing into something else. But, I mean, Kurt Champagne, you know good old Kurt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had me and my father over several nights and fed us dinner, and wouldn't take anything from us for it. And just the way we were treated here, like we were outsiders, we were out-of-towners. Typically people in that situation, they shy away from that. They don't want out-of-towners in here. And we were accepted with open arms. And I was like, man, I want to be a part of that. I want my children to be raised around people that are giving and want to take care of each other like that. And I feel like as a country, we're getting away from that.
Well, I mean, that's there again, small town. I mean, we know everybody that's on oxygen. The power, if the power goes off, believe it or not, we got a chart up there. We know that we can get to those people first. You know, COVID hit. We didn't want all our elderly out. So we had meals. All the women in town made meals, and we delivered them on, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. I believe we made sure and checked on everybody, gave them cards. If they were really sick, they'd put a red deal up in their windows. I don't know if were you here for?
I was.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, we might get in a disagreement over your dog barking or whatever, but if your tree falls down, we're there to help you pick it up.
Well, and that was the other interesting thing, man. Like the fire department, you're in the fire department. Like,
yeah.
Like,
well,
you never know. Like,
yeah.
I could drive by and I'm like, wait a minute, is that Brad dressed up in a fire suit, get up, fight a fire? Like, you in this type of community, everyone's wearing all of those different hats. I remember asking you, do we have a city manager? You're like, I'm the city manager.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
there are getting 500 of us here.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, but it's been an eye opener for me, but it's been a great learning experience because I'm not used to that. Even when we had a small population growing up in the town that I grew up in, it was never this small. So it has been a different perspective for me coming from the West, coming to the Midwest, and learning how kind of all of that works out. But it has definitely been captivating because I don't know, it's a different feel. And I think to your point, I mean, you've grown up here all of your life and don't know maybe the other side of that, but you didn't have to. You knew that you liked it and you wanted to be here. And I got sucked in too. Damn it.
No, hey, I'm glad you're here. Let's get another house built for you, okay?
Right. Working on it. We're working on it. What are your aspirations then? Like if you were asked, because I'm going to ask you right now, where in 10 years, where would you like to see Milford? What would you like this place to be?
Well, I mean, if we're in a boom right now, I mean, you got here probably right when the boom started for our little town. And what's unique about our little town is we don't really rely on Fort Riley as much as it's Milford Lake that we rely on. Even though we have many retired military live in this town. I mean, they get out of the Army. They like just what you're saying. They like the small town stuff. But we've gotten rid of 69 trailers in our town in the last 2 years. They served a purpose. But,
at some point, right.
They did. There wasn't enough housing back in the 70s, 80s, but there's 9 new houses over there. We got a 1 point some $1 million storage unit going in over there with a car wash. I could see the houses being built. A lot of these houses being built are lake people, which, hey, they're here in the summertime. Oh, well, we're still got a water bill going to them. We're making money off of that too, as far as generating the money. But the new development out here, hopefully that passes next city council meeting. That'll let us see if we can't get that Dollar General or a Casey's or something out there with a gas station and some kind of store.
Do you worry about future leadership not taking as much care and passion as you have shown?
Well, the whole thing with that is, it isn't just the mayor. The mayor's there to run the town during the day. City council, that's the people that are in charge. They're the ones that vote. The mayor doesn't vote. So, I mean, it scares you in the fact that we only have 5 people on that council. You get 3 people on that council that maybe are not as conservative as we are, of spending money. Well, you could see a lot of funds go out quick. So that's the only thing that would scare me. But this town, like I said, can only grow so far. So if we can get a handle on that and get what we want, it should just, hey, if I'm not there, the next guy's going to do just as I hope does a better job than I do.
No, that's a good that outlook. But I mean, it's something as a citizen that I worry about. And look, I mean, I obviously consider you a friend, but I'm not. I'm treating you as the mayor right now. It's from a citizen standpoint. You want people in there that are gonna. And like you said, I guess it has more to do with the city council. But you want people in there that are going to keep that value system and like what we've got going and want to nurture that, because we've seen it. There's examples all over the country where that has been not taken care of, and you see that kind of go to the wayside, and it's sad.
No, I mean, look at our streets. Look where we've went. On a little town like this, and we've got better streets than a lot of big towns. So we when we do have money, we'll spend it on sewers, we'll spend it on water lines, we'll spend it on streets. We're not building some fancy thing. We're let me put it this way: we're very conservative. We really are with how we spend our money.
Man, that's pretty awesome. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions that I wanted to ask you. I mean, you're willing to come back. Right?
Oh yeah. Hey, we ought to do this after the Sundown Salute Festival, man, and we'll see how well that went off.
You know what? I would. Let's do that. Let's set that up right now. If you wouldn't mind, I'll reach out to your people and we'll see if we can't get you scheduled for after that. Because no, it would be cool. And in all honesty, I do appreciate your time and willingness to come and do this. I'm small fries.
I'm
right
not
now.
getting paid for this.
No,
I'm not getting paid for this?
but we will run an ad campaign. Vote for Brad.
Yeah, well, we don't get paid. We're city officials in this town aren't like the big cities either. We don't get a dime.
Right, but that even
voluntary.
speaks more to your passion about it, though. And for anyone listening, rather you agree or disagree with the mayor, no one can disagree with the passion that you have and the love for the community. And that is shown just in the way that you guys conduct yourselves. It's nice to see people care about it. And you've got skin in the game, man. Your family, you come from a rich heritage here. Like you said, you guys were basically here from day one.
Correct.
So your ancestors, everything, it kind of, I mean, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's kind of like a tombstone feel in a way, though, a little bit where I mean, you guys aren't killing people that piss you off.
We did have a train station. Come on, we can go Yellowstone on this.
Right. But no, your parents, your grandparents, like this is all a derivative of what they built. And that is impressive. That in of itself, I feel like, is a story to be told, because that's not common nowadays.
Well, there's still a few families still here from the old, back the 3 and 4 generations, but they're all slowly, getting out of here. I'm thankful that I got a brother that lives here. I got a son that lives here. So, I mean, there's 2 more they're going to have to contend with when I'm gone.
So, yeah, let me ask you that. How many brothers and sisters did you have growing up then?
I had an older brother, which he was in the Air Force and crashed a F-15 plane.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. He was 26 when that happened. I was 21. But then I have an older sister. Then I come, and then I have a younger sister, and then we have one of those mistakes. We got a little brother that's like 15 years younger than us. Which is Daniel. I think you've met Daniel, and he's named after my dad, my grandpa. That Daniel name goes back actually four generations.
I didn't know that you had service history though in your family. Was there anyone else that served?
My dad and sister both was full-time National Guard. They retired full-time National Guard.
Wow. And is your mom and dad still alive?
No, they're gone.
They've since passed on. I'm sorry about your brother. I didn't know that's that's cool that they served. That's really awesome. I have family members that served as well, and that's great. So cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you stopping by.
You sure I don't have a check? I don't have a check.
You know what? Maybe we've got one coming to you. Look, you're going to make it back because I'm going to go over to the tropics. I'm going to buy a couple of drinks, and so you'll get it that way.
I appreciate that.
I know you do, and I appreciate the pizza and the fish fry when it comes along. You got to do more of that, dude.
Well, it's getting fishing season, so we'll have a little bit more of that.
And in all honesty, I mean, even though I live here, I want to pay to go and do the tour thing because I've heard that's just a blast. And I mean, and I haven't hung out with you that much, but in the little time that I have spent with you, you really are you're a fun guy that appreciates a good sense of humor, and it's I think it would be fun to go out there and experience that.
Well, we'll look into that too.
Sweet. Well, for those still listening, sure appreciate you. I really appreciate the audience and the support you get. You can check us out. Now we're on Apple Music as well as Spotify, and we've got some other platforms that are looking at the program as well. So, and we might have a sponsorship. Can I say it? Maybe I can't. I'll do it anyway. Toyota is looking at us, so that might be cool. But you've been listening to the Just Josh and You podcast. I'm Josh Hansen saying peace be unto you, and we'll catch you on the flip side.